The Persian Gulf, a region of unparalleled strategic importance, is a linchpin of global geopolitics due to its vast oil reserves, critical maritime routes, and complex security dynamics. As of June 2025, the region is navigating a precarious moment, with escalating tensions between the United States and Iran threatening global energy markets and regional stability. This analysis explores the interplay of oil, security, and U.S. Iran tensions, drawing on recent developments and historical context to provide a comprehensive overview. The Persian Gulf is home to some of the world's largest oil reserves, with countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates playing pivotal roles in global energy markets. The region's oil wealth has not only driven economic prosperity, but also shaped its political and geopolitical landscape. The Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway connecting the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea, is a critical choke point. With approximately 20 million barrels of oil, about 20% of global consumption passing through daily, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Recent events have heightened concerns about oil supply stability. Following U.S. airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites in June 2025, oil prices have risen by approximately 10% due to fears of potential disruptions. While no major supply interruptions have occurred, Israel's attacks on Iranian refineries and depots have not yet removed oil from the market. The threat of Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz looms large. Such a closure could push oil prices past $100 per barrel, a 30% increase from current levels in the mid-$70s, and potentially up to $130 per barrel, according to J.P. Morgan estimates. This would significantly impact global economies, particularly China, which imports nearly all of Iran's oil exports and relies on the strait for about half of its crude imports. Iran's leadership, however, appears cautious about actions that would harm its own economic interests. Analysts suggest that Iran is unlikely to escalate against energy targets, while its own facilities, such as the Karg Island oil terminal, remain vulnerable. Instead, Iran has increased harassment of tanker traffic, jamming GPS signals for 23% of vessels in the strait, affecting approximately 1,600 ships on a single day in June 2025. This strategy raises tensions without fully committing to a blockade, reflecting Iran's delicate balancing act. The security landscape of the Persian Gulf is a complex web of competing interests, military presence, and shifting alliances. The United States maintains a significant military footprint, with bases in Qatar and Bahrain and naval fleets patrolling the waters to ensure the free flow of oil and counter Iranian influence. Iran, however, possesses robust military capabilities, including ballistic missiles and support for proxy groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis. Its recent missile attack on a U.S. airbase in Qatar, though causing no injuries, was a calibrated response to U.S. strikes on its nuclear facilities. Arab Gulf states, traditionally aligned with the U.S., are increasingly cautious about being drawn into a broader conflict. Saudi Arabia and the UAE, once hawkish toward Iran, now fear regional instability and economic disruption. This shift is evident in the Saudi-Iranian rapprochement facilitated by China, which has led to assurances that Saudi Arabia will not be used as a base for U.S. military action against Iran. The Gulf Cooperation Council is fragmented, with the UAE and Qatar maintaining open channels with Iran responsive to de-escalation initiatives. China's growing role as a mediator introduces a multipolar dynamic, diluting U.S. dominance in the region. Recent U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites in Fordo, Isfahan, and Natanz have not significantly diminished Iran's military posture, with intelligence assessments indicating only a few months setback to its nuclear program. The strikes, however, have heightened regional tensions, with Gulf states expressing alarm over the potential for escalation. U.S. Iran relations have been marked by decades of mistrust rooted in key historical events. The 1953 CIA-backed coup that overthrew Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh and reinstated Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi set the stage for anti-American sentiment. the 1979 Iranian Revolution, which established an anti-Western theocracy under Ayatollah Khomeini, and the subsequent Iran hostage crisis deepened the divide. The Iran-Iraq War, during which the U.S. supported Iraq, further entrenched hostilities. More recently, the U.S. withdrawal from the Iran nuclear treaty in 2018 and the imposition of 6 new rounds of sanctions have intensified economic pressure on Iran. The current escalation began with Israel's surprise attack on Iran on June 13, 2025, followed by U.S. airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities on June 21. These strikes targeted key sites but failed to destroy Iran's nuclear capabilities, prompting Iran's retaliatory missile attack on a U.S. base in Qatar. A U.S.-brokered ceasefire was announced on June 23, 2025, with Iran halting attacks first and Israel following 12 hours later. However, the ceasefire is fragile, with Israel accusing Iran of further missile strikes, which Iran denies. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has warned that closing the Strait of Hormuz would be economic suicide for Iran, urging China to pressure Tehran to avoid such a move. The involvement of global powers like China, which facilitated the Saudi-Iranian and Russia, which benefits from U.S. distraction, adds complexity. Iran's proposal for a Gulf-inclusive uranium enrichment consortium, engaging Saudi Arabia and the UAE, suggests a potential diplomatic path. The Persian Gulf's geopolitical landscape in June 2025 is a volatile mix of oil-driven economics, complex security dynamics, and deep-rooted U.S. Iran tensions. The region's critical role in global energy markets, particularly through the Strait of Hormuz, makes any disruption a global concern. Security is shaped by U.S. military presence, Iranian capabilities, and shifting Gulf state alliances, with China's growing influence adding a new dimension. U.S. Iran tensions, fueled by historical grievances and recent military actions, remain a flashpoint, though the fragile ceasefire offers a glimmer of hope for diplomacy. The coming months will be critical in determining whether the region moves towards stability or further conflict, with profound implications for global energy and security.